Hi dear YouTubers, this is Singta here. Actually today's topic I would like to talk about is whether in education is it necessary for a child. So there are several things I would like to discuss about in this video. So the things that I did actually explore was there were a lot of concerns over education spending. How is it going to affect the family's finances and stuff like that, because it's obviously pretty high, even the US and Singapore. Now, it's estimated that the spending for a university degree for a Singaporean child by 2030 will be around, say, 50+% of a family's annual income, which is really drastic. So it's drastic action must be taken. So in fact, the latest figures that I've actually compiled from the various university websites, in fact, the cost is actually being increased by $100 a year. So now it's like you're gonna have to pay like $100 more for new students per year. For subsidized university education, which is damn pretty expensive, even after the government's tuition run. In fact, from what I've heard from one of my part timers at my workplace, in fact, she said that her parents ran out of money, and then they had to actually somewhat she had to use her parents' CPF account to actually deduct money from the ordinary accounts to achieve food for her university tuition fees, which is then pretty expensive. So sometimes you gotta really see the logic of cost and the cost, because actually cost is pretty expensive. You have to spend like tens of thousands of dollars on a degree, which is absolutely not. It's actually, our pay is somewhat inversely proportional to what we actually spend for a degree or a diploma at a local institution, which is pretty bad. Because sometimes when you see this, when you get a qualification, maybe you might not be able to develop holistically, or sometimes you might even don't like the job and quit. And then you end up losing your job. You end up losing a source of income, which is pretty, it's pretty embarrassing. Because in times of this economic recession, you definitely need a job to actually get by lots of things. The daily expenses, transport, food, lots of stuff. And a lot of us Singaporeans are very worried. So sometimes when you start education from primary school, you learn all the basics. So like you do basic subjects like math, science, English, mother tongue. But when you get to secondary school, it gets more lame. You have to learn like subjects like accounts, additional maths, physics, chemistry, bio, literature, history, geography, and social studies. Humanities is a pretty lame area because you have to write essays, which is it's really a brain drainer. I would say it's lots of teenagers. They will tell me they're fed up with their secondary school education. They're not scoring good grades, and especially in English, that you have to make inferences in your comprehension passages, which is pretty difficult because Cambridge actually, Cambridge actually, they have different markers, and then they have to actually somewhat each person's response of each person's response to a question is actually different. So sometimes when they actually mark the papers, is actually they have to determine a standard where they can give the marks. It's pretty hard. It's not everyone can score. Not everyone can actually score in English, which is pretty bad. Not everyone can score, even though the person might be fluent. The inference may not sound logical or coherent. It's pretty hard. Then after that, you actually after secondary school, you have to progress to a IT, polytechnic, or maybe a GC to actually further your education. That's where it gets harder. That's when sometimes when you actually go to an ITE and or diploma course, say you actually score the aggregate, let's say it determines your course at a polytechnic or ITE institution. Because actually there's this JAE which has the 12 choices to let you decide, and based on aggregate score you get posted to the choice of the course based on how many people opting for the course by merit, which is pretty flawed. Actually, I guess I would say it's pretty flawed, because when people actually don't get the course of their choice, and after 1 or 2 semesters or maybe a few years they might drop out because they might say it's they might not like the course. They say they're not technically inclined, whatever, they're not into this profession, they can't do it. Yeah, this is the pretty kind of flaw, that in a lot of Singaporeans, because they are fed up with something which they cannot do, which I have to raise awareness in this video. I wanted to do accounting, but in the end I got screwed out of an accounting course at Higher NITEC. Instead I had to do electrical engineering, which is pretty fucked up. And the thing is this, in fact, in the electrical installation practical tests, I left the wires dangling from the conduit, which is pretty dangerous. I can't even do the trick. So which I had to actually go to the direct second year of a diploma course at Singapore Polytechnic. I was studying triple E. Good things could get worse. Because actually the course was mainly about design, maths I could handle, but design was the worst. It was the most difficult subject to actually handle with. It was pretty hard. I cannot do design because it's pretty hard, and it's pretty hard to master. All the things you learn, after when you graduate from an institution, then you'll find that you have already returned what you have learned from school back to your lecturers, which is a waste of time, I would say. In school, I would say it's a waste of time. Let's say if you're able to develop a natural born talent like me, you should be able to progress up the career ladder, which is pretty amazing, because I have a very high level of intellect, and I'm not a diploma holder. Actually, I'm earning quite a decent amount right now as a senior staff, but it's pretty amazing, because a lot of the Japanese customers would ask me, how did I learn Japanese? In fact, I've actually used English sentences, proper English sentences, to actually translate them into Japanese, which I actually learned only the Romaji, which is pretty amazing. I never bothered to learn the kanji and the Chinese characters, which is wasting my time, because I don't actually do any work in Japanese, so I didn't learn how to write, but I know how to speak Japanese. So that's pretty amazing. And I'm starting to pick up languages like Spanish and German, which I'm using Google Translator to actually somewhat actually learn the language myself, so I can communicate with others. So now let me touch on the degree holders. I think some of you may have really known that the the university tuition fees are expensive, and then after graduation you start to worry, hey, I can't even get a job, because it's actually a leadership position, and leadership positions actually require lots of experience, which in this corporate world right now, in an economic recession, that is very important. I had a friend of mine who actually quit Ernst & Young. I saw this Facebook photo of him actually of a past, Ernst & Young. He that she quit after 2 years. It was like, you know, sad news that he had to quit. It's pretty bad. You know, lots of us worry that, you know, after graduation, we, the degree holders, may face a lot of stress because of a leadership position, because there's lots of things to do. You know, you're getting fed up because your pay is so low that you can't even cope with your expenses. That's why some people decided to leave, you know, those companies, and then they have to start hiring again, or decide to actually, you know, cut excess stuff, you know, to actually save a bit of money for the company. Which is actually pretty worrying for those degree holders, because they have spent a lot of money on the degree, and they want to earn it back. But it takes a lifetime and actually somewhat, you know, earn the money back, which is pretty hard for us Singaporeans to actually do that, because tens of thousands of dollars are our life savings. So it's pretty hard to actually earn that money back. It's pretty hard. I gotta say, it's you know. So, you know, those high income earners that they actually the high income earners actually have to pay a lot of stuff. You know, have to pay credit card bills, annual fees, and also the IRAS have to impose a very heavy, you know, income tax on them. So they earn a lot of money, they have to pay back a lot of income tax, which is, you know, it's damn inflated. Oh, seriously, those high flyers will face a lot of stress. If they have children, they're even worse. They have a lot of expenses to pay. They have to pay the house mortgage, maybe a car installment, you know, which is not possible for us to own a car because it's pretty expensive. We have to pay back by installments. Or even our child's, you know, university education, which is worse. You know, it's gonna wipe out all of our savings, and it's pretty bad. I gotta say, the situation in Singapore is pretty bad. So let's say if you're like, let's say if you cannot take it, just drop out, do something else, try and find something else you could work on, you know, work on a skill. You know, like me, I can do, you know, videos like this, and video editing. I could even do gaming and stuff, IT stuff, like I do the Windows 10 reviews, like what I did on YouTube. You know, it's just that, you know, people are not willing to somewhat, you know, develop their intellect. You know, where people don't have actually got, where people don't have soft skills, like, you know, picking up a new language over the net, maybe, or maybe even have good interpersonal skills with people to develop relationships. So that's much of the stuff I really want to point out about you know, education in Singapore, which is you know, it's a pretty devastating situation right now for us all, even parents. So I hope you guys learned a lot through this video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much.